Uh-huh.
How should we take notes
Okay.
when they give us the preparing time?
Okay. So for making your taking note strategy, you have two kind of, it depends on you. Your style to taking notes, it's depend on you, but keep in mind that you just have to taking some points, some important points that answer the question after the usual answer, blah, blah, blah. You still remember, right? How the card looks like. So for example, you have 4 questions. First of all, you have to pay attention to the topic first. Find a keyword from the topic. Is it about something that already happened or something that you want to do in the next future, or something that regarding to your hobby? You can decide which tenses that you will use in your paper too. That's the most important things to do with your note. And then take a look at what types of question that you have after you should answer blah blah blah, or you should say blah blah blah. You will have 3 to 4 questions. For example, what is it, why you want to do that, and then many more. You can make a point based on the question, but if you want to make it more natural, you can pay more attention to the concept that usually part 2 will be about answering question related to 5WH, 5W1H. So you just don't say what's that state there, but you can focus to answer what is it, why, who, when, where, and how. It's it's really helpful for you because you can maintain to speak in longer time, in 2 minutes. Because if you just make note based on the question, sometimes you speak too fast, so you don't reach 2 minutes, right? Another is that you have to make plan B. Wait, I think someone is trying to assign to. Oh, how can I do this? Wait, yeah. Okay. What did I say before? I forgot. Do you remember when I stopped? I'm like, what did I say? Okay, so
okay.
So,
there is two
types.
Edwins. No.
Oh. Wait, Mary Unica Unia Boyka. Okay. Wait. Do you remember when did I stop? Tadi saya berhentinya di apa ya?
Sampai 5W11
okay.
membantu mencapai 2 menit.
Okay, and then another thing is that when you read the question, you should have 2 plans. Not only pick a topic to talk about, not a topic, what thing that you want to speak about or you want to talk about. Don't only make it one. You can have 2 plans. So you want to, for example, if we have question about let's say describing a vacation you had at a faraway place. So even though it's only needs you to talk about a vacation, sebuah vacation, but you have to make it into two. I'm like, yeah, you have to prepare to plan. You can talk about two vacations. Oh, if you already talk and answer all the question below the usual say part, you can start to talk about another vacation to fulfill or to satisfy 2 minutes that required by the test. And usually you have more time to explain the last question or answer the last question. So I will show you the screen. Wait, wait. Okay, so for example, here we have describe a vacation you had in a faraway place. Below you so okay, you have question when, where, who you went with, what you did there, and explain why you think it was enjoyable. You can just like make 1 point, 2 1 point, 1 point, 1 point here, but then for this one, you can, sorry, can, okay. I'm sorry, Kak siapa? Kak Mary ya? Or anyone here? I'm sorry, I'm mute you. Okay. So for the last question, explain why you think it was enjoyable. You should prepare more than 1 point. Okay, so you talk more here. And I said before that make it more natural. I'm like, make it more likely you are a storyteller. That is why you don't have to like focus to the card. I mean, like you're focused to when, where, who, what, why, but you can like make it more likely answering question based on what you have here with answering 5WH question. Okay, is it clear enough for speaking part 2? How to take
Yes.
note? Okay, good then.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the advices.
No problem. All right. Okay, Kak Mary Yunita. Hi, Kak. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you. Just go on. I'm sorry for being late.
It's okay, it's okay. Okay, so today we are
Okay.
going. Okay, today we are going to talk about speaking part 3 as Kak Yuni said that some point also related to speaking part 2 is it, you have to make it more natural. You answer it not to templating. I'm like, of course, you have a template for answering question speaking part 2, but you have to keep in mind that make it more natural. How can you make it more natural? I think you should pay attention to the question first. So I have some slides here. Sorry, we haven't practiced yet because I want to share you about this, and after that we can practice. Hopefully you already watched the video that I sent in the group. So that's you have do and don'ts about speaking part 3 and how long speaking part 2 will be. And sorry, someone is trying to join. Okay. Okay. So speaking part 3. This is types of questions that we have in speaking part 3. So for example, here we have, what do you think would happen if cities stop investing in public transport? So on to question number 4. You can look at this type of question and you can find something that's similar from all those 4 questions. So for example, here, if you spotted, you have do you think, you think, and what do you think? If you find a question like this, it means you want to talk based on your perspective. So you can use, I think, in my opinion, in my perspective, okay, it seems to me, or it appears to me that something, blah, blah, blah. Here, the things that I want to highlight, the video, not yet. Okay. Uh, so here, I want to highlight that if you get the question, I'm like, if the examiner give you the question with the statement about what do you think or considering your perspective over something, you have to deliver your speak based on your perspective. You can be a center of that statement, or sorry, of that, let's say, opinion, but you have to also aware that here in speaking poetry, usually it asks about something that general people will think about or concern about. So even though you talk based on your perspective, you have to bring the example, the real example, or like the reasonable example based on what's that happening in the general people life. So for example, what do you think would happen if cities stop investing in public transport? You can start with, I think, in my opinion, but then you can also elaborate it into based on what that I read from magazine, or you can say like based on my observation. Nowadays, I can spot that blah, blah, blah. So you talk about something that you know most people will think like that way. Okay, so that's a kind of question that related to your perspective. But we also have this type of question, this one. Do people need to write down goals or simply memorize them? And so parents set goals for their children and so on. You look here that we don't have do you think part in the question, which means if you have the question like this, you are better to like try to avoid to talk it based on your perspective. Like better for you to not mention in my opinion or based on my perspective, no, but you have to present what do you think or what you consider will be most people or general people looks this problem. Okay, so general people's perspective over this problem. Do people need to write down goals? For example, do people need to write down goals or simply memorize them? Well, it depends on the person. You can start by doing that without saying, in my opinion, in my perspective, and another pronouns that related to yourself. Okay. And what else that I want to highlight from this type of question is pay attention to the verb that they use here. For example, question number 3, what are the good things about working for a big company? Here, you can spot are here, means that you better to provide more than two, more than one, sorry. It can be two or more than two, but it should be not only one thing that you talk about, okay? So sorry, pay attention to what the verb and the requirement that they need you to satisfy here. So what are the good things about working for a big company means like you have to provide more than one good things, okay? And then we also have different type of question based on what the purpose of the question itself. So for example, here I have 4 types: compare and contrast question, hypothetical question, speculation question, and evaluating question. Compare and contrast means like you have to talk about their differences and similarities, which means you don't focus only to talk about differences, or you don't focus only to talk about similarities from the question. You here better to provide, for example, 2 differences and 2 similarities. So even though maybe the question is about like, what do you think about the differences between A and B. Even though the question is only like that, you better to provide the similarities as well. Okay. Remember, if the question is about compare and contrast, you have to provide the differences and the similarities. If the question is about the advantages, disadvantages, even though it's only asks you about the advantages, you better to also provide the disadvantageous side, okay? Not only the positive, but the negative also. And about a hypothetical question, it's about you imagining something or some situations based on the prompt that you have there. But here, remember, it's about hypothetical question. It's nothing normal. It's not about something normal that will happen. It's something like more related to your imagination. So you can use if would. Okay, pengandaian ya, pengandaian di sini karena kan ini hipotesis gitu ya. Jadi belum mungkin terjadi, and we don't have a proof. We just have like a assumption about that. So people start to talk about that. So maybe the examiner wants you to know about your perspective over things. So you can answer by using if would. If this happened, it will be like this, for example, like that. And the speculation question is you are trying to speculating about something. So something that might happen might different to the something that only your imagination. So if it's talk about speculating question, it's something that already have the proof, already have the evidence, something as like people maybe start to do a research about, but have no result yet. So you can talk about this. I'm like, to answer this question, you can provide evidence based on this maybe, or perhaps it will be like this in the future. You can use will here, maybe, perhaps, probably, or you can use might as well. And then for evaluation question, sorry. Okay, so for evaluation question, you have to decide how much you agree or disagree by discussing the argument. Here, again, if you have a question that you need to comparing something, you better to like, if you want to make it longer, you can try to be in a neutral position or be in, for example, in a agree position, but you provide also what disagree. I mean, like if you can also say that even though people tend to agree with this, but some maybe disagree because what? That makes you like provide both sides can help you to make your speaking longer. And okay, I think I still have one more. Okay. It is how you respond to the question. Compare and contrast you can use. Maybe perhaps for me, blah, blah, blah is more or less important. And then you can say like, another alternative to answer this question is you can talk about the first argument first, and then you use on the other hand to start to talk about the second thought. Okay, and about hypothesis question, as I said, that you can use if would, and then speculation. Okay, because it's about a speculative statement, you have to like use this if you want, but you can use what did I said before. You can say like it's difficult to say, but maybe blah blah blah, or you can say like it's difficult to predict, but based on the evidence that we have right now, you can provide some evidence and then you can make a conclusion. And evaluation, I completely agree, I totally agree or disagree. It based on your perspective, or if it's about something that I mean, like if the examiner wants you to represent general people thought, you can like better to be in the middle, be a natural in natural position. Okay, let's think about these slides. Sorry, I talk too much. Okay, so here we have linking words or phrases that we can use in your speaking part 3. You can also use in your speaking part 2 as well. And it's really important. Why? Because the examiner also check for this. What kind of linking word that you already use, what kind of linking, phrases that you used in your speaking really affect your score. So you have some here. I will give you like 2 minutes to read maybe some linking words that you probably want to use in your speaking. So for example, I will give you a suggestion about linking word. Mostly we need to use this like regularly, not regularly, make it natural, but like people like to use this additional. And contrast also, you have to know about this word because usually question related to speaking part 3 is about you contrasting something. And then this one is really important. Why? If you look at the video that I sent you guys in the group, you can find there that one thing that you should do, that you have to separate it into 3 ways, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm not like remembering incorrectly. So when you want to like provide more than one example, for example, yeah, you can say like, you can use firstly, at first, or to begin with, or you can say like, um, yeah, last but not least, for the last statement, this is really, really highly recommended to use in your speaking. And then illustration. Why illustration is really important here is because when you answer question number 3, usually people will use template, answering the question, give further explanation by giving an example, and then you have to provide result or conclusion. Okay, so one template that you can use here, again, you can answer the question first, and then you can elaborate the your previous statement by providing example, or you can like give more elaboration there. And then the last thing in your last statement, you better to make a conclusion. So you said about a result there, or summarizing here. Okay, we'll try to practice. I will show this here, but the question is not. So you can try to pick one or more linking word, make it naturally, to answer question that I will give to you. But before that, any question that you have about speaking portrait? Ada pertanyaan tentang speaking portrait? Anyway, Kak Mary, this is the first time I met you, right?
Well, this is the first time I'm being in this breakout room. I mean, I joined the first meeting with Kak Gary. So, but I missed the second meeting. Yeah, I missed the second meeting last week. So,
okay,
that's it.
Is it okay I put you here?
Yeah, it's okay. I can follow.
Okay. So maybe
Okay,
to make it more fun, I want you guys to know each other first. So before you answer the question, I want you to give a little information about yourself. You maybe can say what your name, or what your jobs, or your study, or whatever things that you want to people concerned about yourself. Okay. Okay. Can I make it I don't think so. Wait. All right.
Can I ask a question?
Okay, sure.
In party, is there any time limit?
No. So for answering the question, right? Do you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So to answer the question, you don't have like specific what specific length of time to answer the question, but if you can maintain it into 2 minutes, it will be good. Or 1 minute. I mean, like 2 minutes is too long. 1 minute is good, but usually people will like talk in 30 seconds to 1 minute for speaking part three. And then you remind me to something here that also important about speaking part three. If you answer the question interestingly, usually the examiner will pick the question based on your answer. Okay, so it means you can talk as much as you want, but be mindful as well. If you provide long answer, it means you have the probability to make mistake more. Okay, so you have to try to like maintain your answer, not too long. But here, speaking poetry, you are better to provide long answer. Long is like 1 minute is enough because 1 minute is considered long. Right. Do you guys want me to show the slides about linking word? Because I find it hard for me to show my other screen that has the question if I share you the screen. Really? Do you need it? Okay. Anyway, Kaitwin, you can unmute. Wait. Oh my God, here. Okay. I'll start to give you a question for speaking part three, and I will pick one of you to start to speak. Remember that you can first introduce yourself first and just give us like a little information about you. Okay, so first I want to practice with Esther. Okay. Remember, you have to pay attention to the question. What hints that you have in the question that related to the tenses maybe, and what keywords that you have in the question. Okay?
Okay.
So first question related to a vacation here. Where do most of people go in your country?
Okay, I should introduce myself first.
Okay, you can go introducing yourself first.
Okay, I'm Esther. Hello guys, I am from Keva, but now I live in Nagikio, is Nusa Tenggara. So I'll try to answer the question. So usually people go to the beach or something, or any village or town that good for vacation or good for healing, like what? Like in Bali or Labuan Bajo, something like that.
Okay. What do you think about your answer?
My answer is very singkat.
Okay, so it's not necessarily about how long you speak. I'm like, it's about
Yeah.
how you structure, how you construct your statement. So,
Mm.
so where do most of the people go in your country? Okay, you go with say, I'm like, yeah, you say first about people usually go to blah blah blah, right? Beach, right?
Mm.
And you can say here, I mean, like, because at the end you mentioned about more than two places. It is hard, I know, to like maintain the connection from your previous statement to until the last. But if you want to talk like more than one places, you can't like what divided your statement into two parts. For example, where do most of the people go in your country? Well, people in my country tend to like beaches. For example, we have a lot of people who go to Bali because blah blah blah. And then the other things that I see lately, for example, people like to go to Labuan Bajo as well. Maybe it's because blah blah blah. If you have the structure like that, you can maintain to talk in a structural answer, and also you can maintain to speak in a quite longer um or speaking. You get what I mean, right? Okay, good. It's a bit awkward to talk to your friends in English.
Yes.
All right.
I got
Okay.
nervous.
Okay, okay. I'll move to Kameri. Okay. So, what are the differences between traveling to other countries and living there?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Okay. What are the
Can you repeat the
differences?
question again? Okay.
Okay. What are the differences between traveling to other countries and living there?
Okay. Traveling to another countries and living there. The difference between that. Uh, Actually, it's totally different because living in another country means that we need to move uh, our things and we need to live there for a long time. We need to get uh, the what is it called? KTP identity. Yeah, the nationality maybe or in another country, but traveling to another country means that we just spend our time to have fun or go visiting some new places, some interesting places. I mean, so uh, by hearing that two words, those are totally different between living in another country and traveling to another country. Actually, it's totally different. Thank you.
Okay. So, what do you think? What do you think? You confident with your answer?
Yeah, a little bit confused, and I'm just like, uh, this is what I want to ask you about. I mean, will we have any preparation time before we answer that question, or we should directly answer while when we got the question from the examiners? I mean,
Okay, good question. I forgot to
yeah.
tell you about that, but here is a strategy to like try to build a vocabulary or try to construct the structure of your answer before you try to deliver your answer to the examiner. You will have like 3 seconds, only 3 seconds to try to like, okay, because the question is like this, I have to talk about this. I have to talk like this. First of all, if the examiner already said about, I'm like already mentioned what kind of question is it? So for example, what are the differences? So, okay, what are? I have to provide two differences, right? And then you will have another, I mean like the whole question between traveling to other countries and living there. Other countries living there. For example, you mentioned about vacation, stay longer, identity, and what else? Like only, what is it? Visa? I mean like, yeah.
Yes, yes, I visa.
Right?
So,
Okay. If you try to think that way, I believe that you will be more confident in answering the question because you know exactly what type of uh, question is it. What are the differences? Okay, the differences is that blah 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 blah. But remember, I talked about this before. Even though it's only asking you about the differences, you better to also provide the similarities. So yeah, traveling to, but I also think that traveling to other countries and living there has a similarities in terms of you are not in your country anymore. You are being a foreigner, right? So you can highlight only, you can provide only one similarities, but you highlight more in the differences. Okay, people here, they like to do that things. I'm like, you ask about only something, but they give you like long explanation about something. Okay, and remember, you only have 3 seconds to answer, try to answer a question. But if you think that you need more time, you can say, well, I think I need to think carefully about that. When you say that, actually here in your mind, you try to construct your answer, okay? But you don't have to use it regularly. You better, yeah, just use it once or twice in your answer because it makes you unnatural, looks unnatural in answering the question if you keep doing that. And um, what else? Oh my God. I remember about this, but I just suddenly forget it. Oh yeah, you can do a hesitation when you answer the question, like just for thinking, well, just for thinking. And then here I have a note for your answer about your identity card. You forget about that. But if you don't remember, I mean like not fail, but like couldn't recall the memory about the exact word, you can try to explain the word. Oh, I forgot about the word, but it's more likely a card that you have your name there, you have your birth there. Okay, so people can try to imagine, make it into a visual, yeah, but your the word that you don't know. Okay, and then you, I don't know, you already have this from your previous meeting or not, but when you are giving the question, sorry, when you are given the question by the examiner, you have to try to paraphrase in the question. What are differences between traveling to other countries and living there? Please try to not restating traveling to other countries and living there. It's totally different. Okay. If you say that, you already make a repetition. Okay. So you have to try to you have to try to paraphrase in the question. Or you can avoid that just by saying, what are the differences between traveling to other countries and living there? Well, I think there are several differences between those both, or differences between both, right? So you don't mention that part again. It is applicable to all the part, even part one, even part two. So you better not to remention, or you better not to repeat the question. You have to directly answer the question, or if you want to highlight to the question But if you want to keep highlighting the question, you better to paraphrasing it. Okay. Okay, good. And now, Catherine, you want to practice or
Yeah.
okay? That voice, oh my god. Okay, your question is, do you think we need to respect the region and culture when you go to other countries?
I'm sorry, but can you repeat it, the question again?
Okay, do you think we need to respect the region and culture when you go to other countries?
Okay, maybe before I answer it, I want to say sorry because I'm living with my nephew bring too many child, so the little creature walk around. So maybe sometimes when I speak, you listening to their voice and it's too loud here. Is it okay? Right?
Okay, totally okay.
Okay. I will continue to answer your question. To answer that, I will think different. Recording in progress. I'm sorry. Wait. My internet connection is not really good. Hello, Rizky?
Hi, hi, hi. Hi.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's clear.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. My internet connection also is not really good right now.
It's okay. So, do you still
Okay.
remember the question or you want
To
me to?
answer it, yeah, yeah. I still remember it.
Good then.
Okay, maybe I will answer it. To answer the question, I would say I'm definitely agree when we travel, when we move, or when we just visit one country or another country, we have to respect their culture, their people, not only their culture, but also their people, how they behave there. We have to like adapt as soon as possible when we arrive there. I mean, we live in diversity world when when another city and also another city have different kind of different kind of like some activity. So when hello,
Hi,
Rizky,
hi. Yeah.
can you still hear me?
Yeah, sometimes it's just cracking, but yeah, I got your point. Now you are unmute, and now you are mute, sorry. Do you want to try again?
Yeah. I want to try, but I just moved to my phone, so
Okay.
it's clear.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm so sorry, guys. Yeah, I'm using phone right now, so maybe it's kind of good connection here.
Mhm.
Okay, I will answer it from the beginning.
Okay, you want me to repeat the question?
What is it?
Uh, do you want me to repeat the question or not?
Yeah, maybe we repeat it so we can like you know.
All right. Okay. So the question is, do you think we need to respect the region and culture when you go to other countries?
I will definitely 100% say yes. We have to adopt and we have to respect all the different kind of different kind of how people behave there. I mean, when you just move to another city, it's totally different. When what what people behave there than from where you come from, right? So move, when you visit, or you just landed in some kind of airport in another country, you have totally to adopt and respect their culture there. Uh, in example, we live in it's Asia, right? Southeast Asia, right? Even though we still in one big Asia, but we have different kind of culture here. So just say in Singapore, people there really taking care of their trash. Maybe, I mean, like when we walk around there, we have to put, or we have to keep our trash in our pocket till we meet the trash can. But here in Indonesia, when you have a piece of uh, coke and you have already finished it, you just throw it out, like in the street, in the front of someone's house, right? So when you visit, or just like to moving in another country, you have to learn first and to adopt as soon as possible. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So to answer this kind of question, do you think we need to respect the region and culture when you go to other countries? You start the question, I mean, like you start your answer by saying, I would definitely say yes, something like that. But please be sure it should be, I'm like, it's better to use will there, because would more likely to something that related to um, things that you doubt about that, right? Okay, and then please be mindful about behave. Behave is a verb, okay? So when you say like, we have to respect people's behaviors, or we have to uh, what respect how people um, living their life there, instead of saying behave, because behave is verb. I sometimes make a mistake as well to use behave as an adjective or as a noun, but actually behave is a verb. And then about adopt and adapt, that's different, right? When you want to adopt something, means like you pick that to be your, but when you adapt, you try to what emerge with their lifestyle. So you can use emerge, emerge, yeah, emerge itu emerge, or you can say like, we better to adapt with the new situation. Adopt and adapt, it's different. So be careful how you pronounce that. I'm not good in pronunciation as well, but yeah, luckily this word I know. And then trust. Trust, trust is different, right? So be careful, because the examiner will like rely more in their listening, their what's that they hear, not what you try to speak about. And then it's not only okay. So here, remember, even though you know that our people, I mean, like people in Indonesian, sometimes they don't take care of their literally stuff like that. But don't say what bad things from our culture and you compare to other country. Okay, if you want to like make our side as a bad example, you can say like, I mean, like you can't pretend to be the subject. So you can say like, for me sometimes, because I saw people doing this, I also do this, right? You don't say like all people in the Indonesian they do the things. Okay, remember.
So I can say bad things even though it's true.
you can say bad things, but you don't have to like make it like all the people do that.
General.
Yeah, you don't marginalize or you don't generalizing something. Okay, try to make it more like yeah, something that you only see in a small part of Indonesia. That's better because like you
Yeah.
promote our country, right, to other people. You don't say bad things about things that you want to sell, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. And then I know that you speak in a length duration, but I mean, yeah, in a long duration, but the structure, how you answer the question is quite move around. Okay.
Mhm.
So you have a
Yeah.
little word that I've read before. You can use that. You can say like, I think it's obvious that you have to be more respect to other people in whatever place that you visit. First, because what? Second, because what? All right. Any question before I move to Kania? Do you have a question, Ka Edwin? Okay, good. Okay, now I move to Kania. Hi, Kania. Oh, you still mute. Please unmute.
Ya, halo Kak Rizky, halo teman-teman. Sorry baru join
Hi,
agak
hi. Oh,
terlambat.
it's okay.
Suaranya kedengeran Kak?
Kedengeran.
Jelas?
Kedengeran.
Oke,
Yes.
cool.
Okay. So, this is my first time with you. We talk a lot through WhatsApp, but yeah, this is the first time I saw, okay, Kania, it's like this.
Ya.
All right. Okay. So your question is, I think you are familiar with IELTS because you took IELTS sometimes.
Ya.
Okay, so this is your question for speaking part 3. What are the effects of globalization?
Well, in my opinion, I could say that globalization itself can cause several problems. But the main major factor that we currently see is the climate change, in which it is such a big influence to raise the global temperature. So by raising the global temperature, it can also lead to other big problems such as disease and also deforestation, and yeah, other problems.
Okay, don't be nervous. I know
Yes.
you can make a better perfect answer than that. Okay. Okay, okay. So do you want to try one more time?
Okay.
Or okay. With the same answer. I got your point, but it's like you move around with your answer.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. What are the effects of globalization?
Okay, so basically, I don't really know much about globalization actually, and I'm not really got the lot of exposure from that. So I barely know it, like from watching television and some articles. So, but what I've got by reading those articles is that globalization is one of the major problem why our Earth is getting hotter than previously, and by raising the global temperature, it is predicted that in the future there will be a lot of people suffering and uh, and die as well because of the disease. And also there are some places on Earth that are no longer being able to live. I mean, like, and also not only human, but also for the plants and animals, they will also die and become extinct because there will be no safe place for them to live. So basically, that's what I thought about the globalization itself.
Okay, good. See, the second try is always good. Okay. Well, based on your answer, first of all, I want to highlight here about what are the effects of globalization, the type of question. I know it's not necessary to think about what kind of question that you have, but here, what are the effects of globalization are? Mean like you have to provide more than one effects, right? And then regarding your first trial, you mentioned about I got your point, but when you try to connect like the second statement into the first statement and then the next statement, it's like what can I say? I mean, like, you talk about climate change, but then you say that climate change affect the globalization. It is true, globalization that changes the climate change or climate change that affects the globalization. And then you mentioned about it will affect the deforestation. Is it correct? Is it the deforestation that cause the climate change or climate change that cause deforestation? Okay, so be careful. If you're getting nervous, if you are getting nervous with the question, because maybe you are not really into that topics, you have 3 seconds, right, to think about the answer, about how you structure your answer. So don't worry too much. Take a deep breath and then try to answer the question. I do make a mistake in answering some question or try to explain something, but well, if you try to like, what makes like focusing on your breathing, sometimes it helps. So yeah, just don't be that nervous. And then
Thank you,
when
Karika.
and then your trial, your second trial, you mentioned about I'm not really exposure to the globalization. Okay, it's not. I'm like, yeah, it's not a big deal. It's not wrong. It's not incorrect, but be realistic, right? Now, every people here, they are being exposed by globalization effect, right? By climate change. So be careful in picking your what word. And then, but in your answer, I think all members here agree that you use some word that interesting or consider as advanced or maybe intermediate B levels word. For example, you mentioned about extinction, deforestation, climate change, exposure. And then I expect you can use like some linking word here, but I haven't spotted that. So this time, this second turn, I'm like, yeah, I want to repeat once again from Esther to Kania, but I want you guys to try to use linking word. Okay. Okay, let's try. Anyway, do you have any question before I try to give another question from another topic?
Yeah,
No.
Rizky.
Okay.
Can
So,
I ask Rizky?
yeah.
If I didn't hear correctly, but I hear that you said before that we can say that really didn't know the type of kind of question. Like to be honest, I'm not actually 100% know about globalization, so we can say that.
all right. If you want to like be safe, you can make up a story. I don't think that people don't know about globalization. right? But maybe just in a unlucky situation, you maybe find some question that you don't have any idea at all about that. You can make up a story first. But the second strategy is another strategy to answer that kind of question is you try to answer the question first, but then you alter the question and you alter your answer, your explanation into something that you are familiar with. Um, for example, what are the effects of globalization? Well, sorry to say, but I'm not going to make a mistake by explaining something that I'm not really familiar. But if I'm understanding it correctly, globalization, if it's related to climate change, then it has a huge effects. So here you try to tell the examiner that I'm not really familiar with this topic. I'm not sure that what I'm talking about. So they will understand if you said it incorrectly in your further explanation. So for example, another question, what are the advantages for traveling alone? Oh my God, I don't have any experience traveling alone, traveling by myself. I usually do it with my friends. But if I can speculate about that, it will be like this. Okay. But again, remember, if the question is not about yourself, be careful in answering the question. What are the advantages of traveling alone? It's something that general people will thought about. It's not only focused on you. Okay. Is it answer your question? Kak Edwin, apakah terjawab? Suara Anda tidak terdengar, Bapak.
Yeah. I get it right now. Thank
All right.
you
Good.
so much.
Okay.
So we just, even though we didn't know about the answer, what we must to say anything like, I'm sorry, I'm not 100% sure my answer is a right answer.
Okay,
Because
but you
I'm
have
not
to
really
make it more
familiar with this
fancy.
topic. But if I have to say about this kind of question, I would say like that. We just make it up, but we have to make it.
Yeah.
The first thing that we have to give our. Yeah, I'm sorry, my internet connection is really bad.
It's okay.
But I get it. Thank you.
Okay, and I want to add more there. Sorry if I talk too much. But if, for example, the question is like, what are the advantages? It requires you to answer more than one. But if you are not sure uh, about the advantages, you can say like, I believe there are a lot of benefits provided by traveling alone, or some beneficial from traveling alone, but I only know exactly about this thing. Okay, jadi kamu bisa menjawab satu saja kalau memang benar-benar yang kamu familiar itu cuma satu. But before that you have to keep like what in line with the question. Jadi tetap kayak beberapa sih kamu minta, tapi saya calonnya cuma satu gitu. So you highlight first for the question. Okay, another question. Tadi saya mendengar kayak someone here want to ask something. No? Okay, so if you don't have any question anymore, I can move to the second round. Okay, Esther. Okay, do you think watching television has educational benefits?
Well, okay. I think watching television depends on that program, if we could say. For example, if we watch about news program, I think it's very educational for the people, even in the children to the adults. But there is some program TVs like doesn't suit for children or doesn't really doesn't really educational for children, such as like gossiping programs or the 18 plus program, or maybe the Cinetron, like something like that. But some program beside on the news program, like the programs such as the information program, the health program, I think it's educational for people nowadays, especially in this pandemic era. So that's what I can say.
Okay. Okay, the first thing I want you to consider about or concern about is when you end your answer, you don't have to like say that's my opinion, or you don't have to say like that's enough. You just have to play your tone, your intonation. If you make it into like full stop tone or intonation, the examiner will notice that, okay, she's done, she's finished. Okay. And then here you make a lot of repetition about educational benefits, right? You mentioned educational so many times. You can try to alter it. You can say like it's beneficial for children's in age in school age, for example, like that. Or you can mention like just mention a specific age that you consider as what the age that from the group of people that they are still a student, and then you can try to alter as well to use but like to use some kinds of terminology that related to educational, for example, critical thinking, logical, reasoning, something like that. So you can try to avoid to repeat the word educational. And then I note here, you say it doesn't really educational. Does here, so be paired to another verb. Okay, it's a grammatical, but when you say like does really blah blah blah, you have to make sure that after that you have a verb. So you better to say like it doesn't really educate the children, not educational. It doesn't really educate the children. Then for the first statement, you say like it depends on blah blah blah, but you make it a bit confused with your structure when you answer. So to make it more clear, or to make it clearer, you can say like it's different based on the program that children watch. Okay, it's different based on, or it depends on what programs that the children watch. Okay. And then Sinetron, I don't think that Sinetron is the word that exists in a dictionary, English dictionary. So you can say like drama sequel or series. Okay. Or you can say like Sinetron is cinema electronic, like electronical cinema. You can say like that. Oh, right. Any question before I move to Kameri? All is good?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Okay, good. Okay, Kameri, now your turn. Okay, so
Okay.
in what ways are documentary films and films only for entertainment different?
Okay, I'm trying to answer the question. What a difficult question for me. Yeah, not difficult. I mean, I can. I still need to learn about answer the question in order. Yeah, because I have lots in my mind, but I don't know which one to come first. So, sorry. Well, document. Sorry, repeat it again. Well, for me myself, the difference between documentary. I'm sorry, can you repeat the question again? Sorry,
Okay.
sorry.
In what ways are documentary films and films only for entertainment different?
Well, actually, documentary film is actually a film that record or telling about someone's life story or some about something that actually happened in real life. And while entertaining film is just like a film or movie that has a purpose to entertain the watcher or who watch the movie. I mean, documentary has a value or something that we can learn from that, maybe from someone's experience or about something that happened in some places that important for us to know and to get important like value that we have that we can the value from that movie, so we can make it or we can use that in our life, in our real life, while entertaining movies just like something that just to entertain the people who have fun with that by watching the movie and something, just to entertain. I mean, the purpose of each movie is different. Thank you.
Okay, good. So before you mention about purpose, my note here is purpose. Why? Because I kind of support your what your opinion when you try to construct your statement. So from your explanation before you mention about purpose, I think you want to talk about like the characteristic is different, and then you want to talk about the purpose is different, because some is for like entertaining films is for entertaining, or just to provide entertainment, but then documentary is for educational value. Like, it has a specific purpose. So you maybe want to use this kind of typical answer by saying, for example, in what ways are documentary films and films only for entertainment different? Well, there are some, but I have two things that I want to highlight. It's first is about the characteristic, and the second one is about the purpose. And you can start to talk about the characteristic first, and you move to the purpose, right? When you try to answer that way, it more like content compact answer you can provide to the examiner. Okay. And then you keep using entertainment. You can try to alter entertainment and entertaining. You can find the synonym of that word. And then, okay, if you want to say like, this is a hard question, you can say, well, it's a tough question because I'm not really into blah, blah, blah. Or I've never thought that I will have a conversation about this. You can say like that. But well, documentary film is like this and entertaining film is like this. But you try to like alter the films into movies, that's good. So you avoid the repetition there. Okay, that's it. So I mean here, if you want to highlight to the characteristic and purpose, you can say it's, like you can make it into a sentence, then you can elaborate it later. Okay, that's better, I think. Okay. Next, Edwin, do you want to try?
Yeah, but let me change to my phone first, so it's clear.
All right. Okay. So your question is, why do you think documentary films are not so popular?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
So why do you think documentary films are not so popular?
Actually, there are so many reasons why documentary film is not really popular in public. In first, I would say it's because it's not played by really big or famous, well-known actor or actress. And the second is maybe because the budget is not really big, and the third is because they didn't play it in bioscope or a big screen. So talking about the it's not playing by well famous actor or actress, because in the first documentary movie is about, it's talk about something that really happening, or by they doing it by research. I mean like in North Pole. In North Pole, they maybe make a documentary there about animals, or about how people can live in low temperature. So maybe because of that, uh, because of that, documentary movie is not really something that people looking for to watch, and because the topic is really hard to, because the topic is really it's kind of hard for people to understand it. Maybe people who watch a documentary movie, it's kind of researcher or academy people to watch the documentary movie. And this my second I'm sorry, I already forget my second reason, but maybe it is it because they didn't play in cinema, because the budget of making documentary movie, it's kind of low budget movie. they only they only using some kind of not really good camera, so it's not really something that people looking for to watch. Maybe in nowadays when people watch movie, they want to watch something big, something with exploded everywhere, or something like action, or right now it's famous about superheroes. And the third, maybe that's it.
All right. Remember that you don't have to say like maybe that's it. Just stop there and the examiner will realize. Okay,
Yeah.
so for your answer, why do you think documentary films are not so popular? Okay, it's not, remember that is not correct answer, but yeah, there are some possibility to answer it better. Uh, for example, like if you want to say what, oh, this genre is not common for people in general. Yeah, you can say that, or is this genre is not really familiar um, among blah blah blah, or too public, not in public but too public. If you want to like use in, you can say like in general preference regarding films, regarding movies. And then you want to say about the content of the documentary films such kind of a boring, because it's talk about uh, blah blah blah, a specific, for example, a specific animal or a specific weather or a specific research that the researchers are doing. And then if you want to say about is not publicly publicly okay, publicly what, so in the bioscope or cinemas, because the budgets other the what production is a low budget, consider as a low budget, you can say like that. And then remember, if you already use like what a noun as a for example, you talk about people, then you better to use what people said about that. What I forgot the term, but it's like you have to choose between who, sorry, among who, that, and who, that. Oh, I forgot the another thing. It's a bit three three types, but I forgot. Like if you
What is it? What is it again,
oh,
please?
which, that, and who, like you have to pick from which, that, and who. If you talk about the people, if you talk about people, you use who. Like here, my note is when you said about something that related to person, but you follow it by to watch, but it's like who watch, people who watch, blah blah blah, not people to watch, blah blah blah. All right. Okay. Any question before I move to Kania?
Not question, but I mean like when we have too many reasons, do we still to remember it or we can write down it?
No, you don't have time to write it. You don't even have like some tools to write down your answer. So if you have like more than one reason behind your to support your answer, I mean like to make it safe, provide like two. Two is enough. So you can
Oh,
remember it. Or you can, as I give an example to Kameri before, you can make it into a statement first. Like, okay, well, the genre is not common for people in general because, for example, the budget of the production and the content. You mentioned that already. So if later on you forget about one thing from those both, you can try to like, oh, I forgot about that one. Maybe the examiner want to remind you about that. But at least you already provide your answer in your first statement. No,
so so it's safe to us when we answer it. We just make it two answers, and maybe we should elaborate it first answer, and we move to another reason.
yep, exactly. So you make it into a statement that provide those both reasons, and then you can elaborate first, and you can elaborate the second one after the first. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, Kania. Okay. So how are movies and real life different?
Uh, well, actually, I don't really think that movie and real life is so much different, but there are some parts actually that really show their distinctions. But most of the time, I think that films and real life is actually related to each other, and they also have like this strong link, because I believe that every movie sometimes is an adaptation of the story, or sometimes it's a depiction of the real life story about certain society. For example, like the 19th century society in French during the Industrial Revolution. And finally, from the story, people made a movie adaptation about that, especially in showing how feminism started to emerge at the time. So basically, I do think that movie actually represents the real life of society. But I also believe that sometimes it's different, especially for fictional movies like fantasy and some of children books as well, because it contains a lot of fantasy and things that don't really happen in the real life just to entertain people and just to make people feel better, because most people want to have like a happy ending, and sometimes they couldn't find it in real life. So that's why they try to find it through a movie, and they find it. So I think we can totally say that movie is different with the real life. So basically, that's what I thought. That's what I think about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, you provide such a good explanation to support your argument here. How are movies and real life different? Um, is it okay? Like it's okay if you want to make a conclusion after your answer, but remember, if it's already stated in the first, you don't have to like make a conclusion again or reconclude about your statement. But then here, it's just a suggestion. If you want to like, like I got your point that we have separated movies with real life because sometimes the setting is based on the real life, right? And then so you can bring out the setting, and then you can say like to make it more excited or to make it more engaging or fascinating, the like the writer, the script writer, yeah, the script writer more make it more exaggerated because they want to entertain more people, and then they want to attract more people attentions. Or you can also say that yeah, I really like you mentioned about the fiction and you mentioned about the fantasy genre. Yeah, there you can use genres of the films. But when you said adoption and adaptation, I mean, like when you want to say, I know that I can spot after twice or three times you use the word adaptation, but at the first you mentioned about adaptation, I kind of heard adaptation. So yeah, it's not really a big deal, but yeah, just be careful about that. I'm not perfect at all in pronunciation, believe me, but yeah, it's hard for people to understand what that we are trying to say if we make a mispronunciation, right? It's not about the dialect or it's not about the accent, but it's more a vague, what? The meanings. Jadi kalau yang kurang tepatnya dari aksennya, if we have like different accent, if we have the different dialect, that's not a big deal at all. Nggak masalah ya, it's not a problem. But when you make a mispronunciation, it changes the meaning. So yeah, be careful. All right. Any question? Okay. Ada pertanyaan before we go back to the main room? Okay, I think karena
okay, Kak. It's not a question. I just want to make sure that the question that examiners will give to us will ask. I mean, is totally random. So we cannot predict any theme or any topic about that they are going to ask for us. I mean, just like what I watched in the video that you sent in the group, they give some theme, like maybe the examiners will ask about technology or education or leisure time and any others. But what I found in this meeting that the question is totally random and I cannot predict anything about the question. So I just want to make sure that the question will randomly taken or not. What do you think?
Okay, so about the topic itself, yeah, it's related to entertainment, related to leisure time activity, or yeah, something that you mentioned before. But about the question itself, it's very, ya, ada variasi dari pertanyaannya. So you cannot predict it, of course, but you can try to like find what the template of the question. Like they usually want you to compare things. They usually want you to know that what's popular about the topic. They usually want to know the positive or negative of a specific topic. So I have an ebook, not an ebook. I have 3 here. If you want, I will send it to our groups, and you can try to like look at the types. Look at the kind of the question, and you can realize that, oh yeah, it's not really hard actually. It's typical question, but yeah, you cannot predict which one that you will have for your test. Oke, okay? Jadi sebenarnya pertanyaannya itu ya kayak gitu-gitu aja. Cuman kamu nggak tahu mana yang akan kamu dapat. But for speaking part 3, you already have the clue when you get your speaking part 2 topic. Jadi karena